Welcome to From the Ashes, the Dungeon Crawler Network podcast all about Ashes of Creation by Intrepid Studios. Bear witness to the rebirth of the MMORPG genre from the ashes of an industry that has left the gamers behind. I am Aggelos, founder of the Dungeon Crawler Network, and we are coming to you live from the Mighty Beard Tavern, and joining me is my co-host, Stormzlord. How are you?
I'm doing great tonight, doing great.
I see you're just a floating lightning bolt. I think you're doing some house renovations, I guess.
Oh yeah. My daughter's room was moved into the office, so it was a little squished in here.
Gotcha. Yeah, that happens. But yeah, I think we got a fun show. Obviously, some very interesting news has come out. We are going to be talking all the news that came from the most recent Ashes of Creation newsletter, including some PAX details, some new positions coming in, of course, the ending of Alpha 0 or Alpha 1's sales, and of course, some details about Alpha 1. So this is going to be fun. Let's go ahead and just jump right into that. But before we do got to give a shout out to our newest patron supporter, Nicholas. Nicholas supports us over at patreon.com/Dungeon Crawler Network. He provides the torches, and hopefully we provide the entertainment. So thank you so much, Nicholas. That really does help us out, helps us do what it is we do and bring you shows each and every week, and hopefully you guys enjoy them. And I know you guys do. It would be kind of hard to tell, though, because we haven't got a new 5-star iTunes review in a while. I'm just saying. I mean, that's a good way to show you support us as well. Heading over to iTunes and leaving us a review so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes it matters. That's right. All right. Storms, you ready to hop into this news? We got some stuff.
Oh, we got some stuff. What's happening?
All right. So first off, this is just kind of a little bit of a PSA. Intrepid Studios is hosting a PAX panel on September 1st at 10:30 Pacific Daylight Time. This will be live streamed, so we'll be able to actually see all of the stuff that's going to be going on and any new information that they release. So if you're going to be attending PAX West, they are not going to have a booth like they did last year, but they are still going to do a panel. And actually, I have some more information on that as well as soon as I can pull it up. There it is. The PAX panel is in the Wyvern Theater, so they're going to be celebrating a year of development, and the Intrepid team will be there at PAX. So hopefully we'll see some different developments on the horizon. And get some information from that, because I know we are pretty starved for information about Ashes of Creation. So there we go. That was just a little PSA. Let's go ahead and move on to the next little bit of news. Once again, another PSA is they are going to be showing off their brand new action combat in the next live stream, which is scheduled for August 17th at 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on the Ashes of Creation Twitch channel. So if you actually have not got a chance to listen to what episode was it? 54, Target Locked? I recommend doing that. And then you can watch this and find out how right and or wrong we were. So that will be fun, because we will definitely be having a discussion on that after that airs on the 17th of August. I have a cat who will not leave my desk. It's kind of crazy. They are also, at the beginning of this month, they will be announcing 21 new positions over at Intrepid Studios. That will be up on their site as well as LinkedIn. So maybe if game design is something that interests you and you live in that area, maybe that's something you can look at. All right. Now let's get into some more of the fun stuff, I guess. They showed off quite a bit of new artwork and some stuff. So we're actually going to bring that up on the screen while I work on that. Storms. Where am I at? Oh, I lost it. There it is. First up, there it is. Show it. There it is on the screen right there. It is actually pretty neat. Okay, this is some different variations that they are working on to show a little bit of I guess it's a mount concept, but what they're doing is they're showing subtle genetic variations that you'll be able to breed through the animal husbandry profession, Storms.
That actually looks awesome.
I like the idea of the animal husbandry, and I know that's something that we've had on our list to talk about for a while. It's just been a matter of they haven't really released a lot of information from it. And to be frank, I haven't really played too many games that actually had animal husbandry as a skill. Ultima Online, I think, had something like that. I mean, you could tame animals. You could be an animal tamer in Ultima Online, but not quite to the level that it seems that Ash is going to do, because it's a griffin, obviously. You can see it there on the screen, but the different color variations are actually pretty neat. And it actually even looks so much as... You notice the beak on the fourth one is... Well, actually, it looks like the beak on each one is fairly different.
They are. Yeah, that's the interesting part about this is how there's so much variation between them. And if that's just the griffin, right? Think about that, the number of mounts and different animals you'll be able to do this with, depending on what they have.
Right, right. I'm really curious if it's actually going to make much of a difference besides a cosmetic one.
I don't know, right? I mean, it looks cosmetically obviously different, but if you look at also the wings, there's going to be different behavior in them. But again, if they do that, then that's just cosmetic.
Well, the game that I'm thinking of that did animal husbandry the most, BDO, was one that you could... It actually had quite a bit of importance in their animal husbandry because you could raise different horses and stuff. And the horses weren't just a cosmetic look. Yes, there was some, like a little bit of a cosmetic, but a lot of it was also based on actual speed of horses and stuff. I remember doing it with some of our guild members here. We hopped into BDO just to mess around and play with the different systems that are available. And I think we were streaming it the one day. And a very, very friendly and helpful member of the community, since we were all brand new, hopped in, was helping us out. I'll tell you what, he had one of the highest end horses because he's been playing since it came out. Oh my goodness, it felt like we were on Turtles. Like, he literally just whizzed by us. It's like, wow. You know, we got our first horse, we're riding around like, oh, this is great, look how fast we're going. He shows up, boom, he's just gone. Flew by us like we were standing still. And I know they were able to actually, if you did it right or got lucky enough, you would actually be able to breed a Pegasus or, you know, a unicorn type mount as well. So that was something that was rare. I'm really, really hoping we see something along the lines with animal husbandry getting some genetic variations that do provide a certain boost, and therefore being able to sell them and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's interesting how they're going to work that through if they do it that deep.
Right.
I want to hear more about how that's going to work.
Next up, we have a few statues that I kind of want to show off here. This is something that they were working on before, and now they've actually started to flesh out some of the different models. First one up looks like... quite honestly, it looks like elves. I would say it's elves.
I would think so.
Kind of looks like them. Those are actually looking out pretty nice as well. And they also followed up with what I would guess is a human statue, but I'm a little confused because that sword that they're showing was one of that we all sort of came to a consensus was an elven sword, but maybe we were incorrect in that.
I like the fact they're showing the scale next to the statue.
Right.
For this one, right? What a lot of I'm thinking we're missing are the not just statues normal height, but the grandiose statues that you would see in places like this.
Right. And I like the actual little bit of verbiage that they sent along with this. They said, Vera is a world rich with history and lore awaiting to be discovered. Across the vast lands awaits you, giants of the fallen civilizations that came before remain. So these statues, we'd be actually able to find these things out in the world, and they would represent cultures that existed on Vera before the fall. So it's kind of neat that we'll be able to get a little bit of maybe a lore perspective. Maybe this is, I'm thinking World of Warcraft at the moment, but the statue out in, is it the Badlands? Or no, it's not the Badlands. I can't remember what it is. Oh, it's going to kill me now. But there is a statue out there of one of the human heroes, and it's really neat to see that when you're flying by, you see this giant thing. And here's another kitty for anyone who wants to see her. There we go. I had to use my handy-dandy spray bottle to get her away, but I swear she's becoming immune to it. Because there's been a few times where I've, like, sprayed her, and she used to run, but now she just kind of stands there and looks at me like, is that all you got?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Just stop it. It's kind of disappointing, actually. I thought I had something there. It is very neat, and it's something that I'm really excited about because one of my favorite things to do in Skyrim and ESO was finding all the old Dwemer ruins that are left behind.
Absolutely. That'll be neat.
Right. And we don't know how long the people were gone off Vera, but it would be neat to see civilizations that used to exist and now are abodes of monsters and all that other fun stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the lore coming out, not only before, but as we're out there and discovering things.
Right. All right. Next up on the image search here that was released as soon as I find it. Some housing items. And we actually have a handful of housing items coming out. First one up. It's a canopy bed of sorts. So I'm actually probably just going to bring them all up here in a second so we can kind of look at them one after the other. And it looks almost like different cultural type things more than anything else. I like the style of them. I think they look very neat. It'll be nice to see them in-game, not just a rendered model as well. But, oh, that one's significantly larger than all the other ones I just did. There it is. So the furniture is pretty neat, and I'm actually really curious about how it's going to work, whether or not we're going to actually have a freeform type housing where we can place things where we want, similar to how ESO does it, or if it's going to be a little bit more, I guess, old. Where it's hook points, because I'm thinking like DOAC used to be hook points where you'd be able to put things at predetermined spots, or if you bought a house or something like that, they could come pre-furnished, so it was just kind of a cosmetic thing. I don't know, and I don't know how much time they're going to allow people to put into it just due to the fact that the homes can be destroyed.
That's a statement there, yeah. Because you spend too much and your home gets destroyed. But then again, that's a reason to fight, too.
I mean, all these things that were just shown were also marked as craftable home decor. So things that crafters would be able to make. I don't know why they wouldn't allow you to have more of a free form if there is a bunch of stuff that crafters are allowed to actually do, right?
Yeah, I hope they do free form. That does make sense. I hope they do that.
Yeah, so that was kind of my thought, and I was like, I actually have to pull this over because I think I have one more image to show, and I don't think it is in the list, so I'm going to go ahead and upload that for you.
I also think the housing, while we're there, just try to derail this too much, but the housing is going to be also a community builder, because you're going to want to build in the same area you were in, everybody's in, to help protect your stuff. So you're not going to have houses all over the Vera, right? You're going to have them, I would think, together, which is going to build a sense of community. We have to defend our stuff.
Right. I actually tend to agree with you on that one, because even if a node does fall, you are able to protect your house from people who are coming out to attack it. So that would be pretty neat to see. And I'm curious to see, like, I know they said about the template of your house and freeholds and stuff. You'd be able to save a freehold template, so that way, if your freehold was destroyed, you could essentially place it down very quickly again without having to, like, redesign the whole thing. But I wonder if that goes all the way down to the items placed within it, or if it's just the building locations.
I hope It's just the building locations.
Why do you say that?
Because what that means is there's going to be a sense of ownership, a sense of that's mine. I don't want that to be destroyed. If we could just poof your back up, where's the the problem there? Where it's like, let it destroy it, you can rebuild it, no big deal. The next day it's up. But if you lose the stuff in the house, yeah, you can have the house back, but you need to get and reacquire all the stuff inside the house. To me, that's again more of an ownership or community building thing.
It's also good for the economy as well, because then
That's true, right?
you're having to recreate every single thing that was broken.
I mean, think about it. If you have, say, 1,000 whatever worth of furniture, you're gonna want to make sure that stays safe. So you're gonna work within the community to keep that strong note as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. The next item that we have up here, this one's actually kind of neat because they kind of showed off some of their, I guess, concept art for the way that they're going to be allowing us to do different spell effects. And they kind of showed different elemental, looks like light. And, of course, darkness, shadow type spells or corruption type spells. The first two are fairly easy. It looks like it's a cone, a whip type area, but the bottom set looks really neat. Focusing on the shadow side for a little bit, is that look like a shield the thing's making? It almost looks like it's a shield. The first image of the two people attacking.
See, to me, it wasn't that. To me, that was their way of dropping something that turns into the spell that's going to be an AOE. That's what I interpret it as.
It's a progression of the spell hits. Okay, that makes more sense because when I look at the fire one, the one right next to it, that does make sense.
Because if you notice the titles on that, the first one is the flourish and then is the cone. So that's what the flourish is, the whip, whatever, and then the cone. So that would follow to me that the ones below are the same thing, progression of the spell.
Right. That makes beautiful sense. I'm glad that you mentioned that. The corruption and what looks like the tangles and things coming up, tentacles coming up, is really neat looking. And of course, the fireball or the meteor coming down looks pretty sick itself. I'm liking that. All right. That's it for the images that were released. So let's go ahead and move right on in. Another PSA. This is a last call, guys. If you are interested in getting into Alpha 1 with the pre-orders, they have the pre-order packs, and the Intrepid pack is the one that actually comes with Alpha 1 access. Currently, I guess they're sitting at a little over 8,500 different participants for Alpha 1 testing. And they announced last month that they'll be closing sales to Alpha 1 in order to keep the number below 10,000. So I think, what was the date that they said? Was it I have to look, because it's the 10th already that we're recording this. This will come out, I think it's the 15th they said.
Yeah, 15th, 17th, something like that is what I'm
Let me just
thinking.
look. I know all the Dwarven-esque cosmetics are leaving the store on August 15th. And at that point in time is also when I believe the Intrepid package is going to be removed. Yep, that's what it is.
There you go.
Yeah, so if you're interested in getting Alpha 1, you've literally got 2 days by the time you're listening to this podcast to pick up the Intrepid pack if that's something that you want to do. Otherwise, going forward, the Intrepid pack is only going to have access to Alpha 2. On top of the other little rewards it gets. So you're going to be losing that Alpha 1 access. Speaking of Alpha 1, here's the bread and butter of everything. Alpha 1 is going to be accessible next month. That would be September. No excitement there, Storms? Because I'm excited.
That's incredible. I was just looking through all of this stuff going, as you're going through that, but that is tremendous to get on Alpha 1.
Right.
Just wait. Alpha 0 has been good. Alpha 1 looks awesome.
Right. Boop, boop. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this for you as well so you can see that in case you didn't get a chance to read it. But, so here's the kicker for people. And this is something I want to discuss a little bit. With Alpha 1, they're splitting it up into 2 different phases. Alpha 1, Phase 1, which is accessible in September, will be focusing on the action side of combat. So we'll be there to kind of perfect that up. And we'll include some different modes for us to play in, including open world battlegrounds, castle sieges, and a city defense horde mode. So this is going to be designed as a test mechanic for the action side of combat, as well as the castle siege system, the adaptive AI of the horde mode, and they're going to be telling us a little bit more about that on the next stream, and also at the PAX panel. So we'll be hearing a little bit more of the details of Alpha 1. Open world battlegrounds, neat. I think that's kind of like the zones at war kind of feeling is what I'm gathering. Whenever I hear open world battlegrounds, I know this is something that we had talked about very early on, where the vernacular they may be using may not be what we think. Whereas I know they said they're going to have instance arenas and stuff like that for people, and possibly battlegrounds. In the initial form, these open world battlegrounds, I almost feel like this is something more akin to Arc Ages when a zone goes at war and it becomes a free-for-all PvP zone. It could be something along the lines of Winter Grasp in WoW, where it's fine for most of the time, but during a 3-hour window or whatever when the battle's active, guess what? PvP's happening, and PvP is going to be rough. So
that's really interesting which one they're going to go for. It's a different way of looking at it, depending what they're talking about.
Well, the open world battlegrounds is specifically, that is what I'm picturing, because it's not instanced.
Yeah. It's just got to be, I'll open everybody, I'll PvP all the time for so many hours.
Right. And I think that's to get away from the corruption system as well. Because corruption would affect everyone until it becomes a war zone, a battleground, in which case then anyone who enters that zone may be getting flagged going, listen, there's a war going on. There's no safety net.
Yeah, there's it. Yep.
Yeah.
This is it. This is what I'm looking forward to, this part of it.
The open world battlegrounds?
The whole Castle Siege, the Horde, that to me, which is funny because it's not the way I came into ESO when I was liking, but at this point, the ability to PvP is just tremendous.
Well, see, the 2 PvP sides of this, the open world battlegrounds and the castle sieges, those are going to be the PvP. The city defense horde mode is actually going to be a PvE encounter, according to what they're saying.
Yeah. Because of the mechanics, yep.
We'll be put into a city-type area, and monsters are just going to keep running at us until we die, essentially. That's actually going to be kind of fun. I actually am excited
that will be fun. The whole, to me, my brain is still technically around how they're working with the AI mechanics, so that's okay. I want to see how that works. It is that to me is an interesting portion of game development is that whole AI mechanic and how it thinks and how it does. Going back to when they did Lord of the Rings back in 2001 or 2002, whatever, you can see at the back of one of the battles, you can see a couple of them running away because the AI was that expansive. A couple chose to actually run away from the battle. So that whole thing to me is interesting.
Curious what they even mean by adaptive AI.
It's going to depend. Again, that terminology, we don't know exactly what they mean.
Yeah.
Hopefully it means it's learning, but I don't know.
Skynet? Is that what's happening to us now?
Skynet, there you go. They're going to work it through, but I don't know. AI is getting very, very intense within games, the ability to learn mechanics from others.
I'm curious if the AI is going to learn, especially in the horde mode, which in my mind is literally they stick you in, say this is what you have to defend, and waves and waves of monsters are going to come. I'm curious if it's going to be something along the lines of when a wave comes, you kill it, and then, I don't know, the top abilities that you used or whatever are then stored, sent over, and the next wave is going to go, okay, we know they're all fire mages, so let's...
They're going to adapt to what... And that's interesting if that's truly what it is. They'll adapt when they come in the second wave. But again, I don't know what they mean by adaptive AI. That's a good thing to dig into when they tell us.
Right. Hopefully we'll get some more information on that as well. Again, this is going to be available next month, guys, so it's really coming up to us very, very quickly. See that in September. Now, Alpha 1 is, again, being broken into 2 different phases, Alpha 1 Phase 2. And I probably should say here, for those who aren't ready yet, do not expect Alpha 1 or even Alpha 1 Phase 2 to be up all the time, because this is not persistent. Alpha 2 is going to be the more persistent. I think that we said that later on, where they're actually going to be available and whatnot. But this is probably going to be something more akin to weekend testing is what you'll see, maybe a few days throughout the week. And as we get closer to Phase 2, it may get longer. It may be a week or 2 between builds. But these are definitely not going to be up all the time. So keep that in mind. So talking about Phase 2, which will be accessible near the beginning of the second quarter of 2019. So second quarter is April, May, June type area in 2019. That will actually going to feature the hybrid combat testing. And let's see, hybrid combat testing for the action and tab target skills, and will allow players to customize through a class skill tree. The phase will also include things of progression up to level 20, 4 of the different playable races, a prototype type deal of a character creation suite, all 8 base archetypes, which will be pretty nice, portions of the housing and crafting and artisan systems, node progression to stage 4, and a 120 square kilometer world map to start, as well as questing and society guild system. So that one is going to be a big step for Alpha 1.
That is going to be great.
And, that's going to be more of a traditional style alpha testing. They're going to have 2 different world servers available. And another PSA at this point is, if you purchased a Kickstarter package or anything of that nature, name reservations for Alpha 1 participants will begin during Phase 2. So what you'll be able to do is you're going to be able to actually get your names that you want for your characters. One thing to take note of, and this is something that they confirmed, is name reservations are not all the same. Name reservations are actually going to come in the order of magnitude of your pledge. So Kickstarter backers first, then summer, and then going forward. So the Kickstarter backers will get the first shot at the names, and it goes from, the highest, the Avatar of the Phoenix, all the way down. Then it'll be summer backers, and then it'll be everybody else. So those of you guys who got in early or have very large packages will be able to have your name reservations done first. So keep that in mind. Whew. That's a lot of stuff to talk about there.
There is a lot to walk through.
Trying to look over here. Alpha 1 Phase 2 will have the hybrid combat part for the entire action and tab target. So the Phase 1, we're just going to be working on active combat to make sure that's working correctly, followed into the hybrid system with come Phase 2, as well as getting a lot more filling out of the games. I'm really excited to see how the housing system works. And, of course, crafting and artisan systems. Oh, that's going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not real huge on the society and guild systems. I don't know if the society guild systems are referring to guild as in something that we can use for Hands of Fate, or if it's guild systems like the the Merchants Guild. I almost feel like that's going to be, since they have it
so too.
Right next to society, I think that's going to be, you join the Thieves Guild, or, the Fighters Guild, the NPC organizations you can join to advance your character progression.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
Yeah. Anything else of note that you're excited for with Alpha 1 coming up?
Honestly, the world map of the size it is to get out there and start moving. right? And the progression to level 20, that whole, you start to get the feel of how it all works together. You've seen pieces, little different things, but to be able to then work through all these things, level 20 it's not a sneeze, it's not, everywhere, but it's something to at least start to understand how it all works together. You start moving up the levels.
I'm curious about when they do the hybrid combat system for Phase 2 and the skill trees, what that's going to look like. Seeing where the advantages and disadvantages are of using different parts. And, of course, node progression to Stage 4. If the servers are up for a good long time, it would be nice to say, hey, guys, listen up. We're doing node progression. It's either normal speed or double speed, something like that, so we can see how long it takes and what all's going to be involved with that, and actually seeing it happen. Because I know they've shown us in a couple of the Alpha Zero videos where they've artificially made it, level up so you could see the progression or what it's going to look like in the system. But it will definitely be nice to actually see that in practice as well. And I'm a big crafter in games, so being able to see crafting and artisan disciplines are going to be pretty neat as well.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, I actually think that is a little bit the end of our show at this point. I know it's a little quicker of a show. Alpha Soul was unfortunately not able to be here yesterday and today, and we had to kind of push around, so we're kind of button up on time for another show that I have to do next, which is our ESO show, Tales of Tamriel. So if you're interested in checking out that show, you can see that over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. But Storms, before we head out, where can people find you?
Well, people could find Stormzlord at Twitter and ESO, our Discord for DCN. We can also find it at digitalpaperstudios.com as I work frantically on 5 or 6 different games trying to figure out which one I want to do.
Wow. It's crazy.
It is.
I have enough time just trying to keep these shows afloat. It's kind of crazy. Well, we have been growing by leaps and bounds over at Hands of Fate, which is pretty nice. We're getting quite a few new members coming in. But if you are interested in checking out the Dungeon Crawler Network Guild and the guild for all of our podcast community, for Ashes of Creation, you can check that out. We are a PVX guild based in the North American Data Center. The server, even when they give us server names, will be divulged somewhere closer to launch for our members. So we'll just say we're going to be playing on one of the North American servers at this point in time. But we do have players from all over the world. We have scheduled events for each region's prime time, so if you're an EU or Oceanic resident but have enjoyed playing with us in the past or for the first time, we do encourage you to join up. The guild's focus is on progression ratings, small-scale PvE, crafting gathering, node-based PvP, aka the open world, and of course, community growth. Now, you can check out everything like that and all of our tenants over at handsoffateaoc.com. I do encourage you to do that. One thing that we are currently recruiting is we're looking to build out some of our PvP squads, as well as get a few more members who are interested in more of the PvE raiding teams. So if that's something that you are interested in, that is what we're currently focusing on more. Of course, casuals and crafters are always welcome. So check that out, handsoffateaoc.com. You can follow me over on Twitter at Aggelos, AGGELOS_DCN. And of course, you can follow everything we do over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. There you can find links to all of our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And you can also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork if you want to help support the show, as well as consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes it matters. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on this episode, this 56th episode of From the Ashes, and we will see you next time. See you later.
Bye.